Before we get to the story, I'd like to say thanks so much for visiting my new channel. I'm going to be uploading cosmic horror related stories every single day. So if that sounds good, please drop a like and don't forget to subscribe. It means a lot, especially when just getting started. I hope you enjoy the story. I never thought my boring security job would be the place where I'd learn the truth about humanity. But I guess that's how these things always go. The end of the world doesn't announce itself. It just shows up on a Tuesday night while you're drinking bad coffee and watching equipment you don't understand. My name is John, and I work overnight security at the Greenfield Radio Observatory in rural Washington. It's not glamorous. Most nights, I walk empty hallways, check locked doors, and try not to fall asleep in the break room. I'm 28, and I dropped out of college 6 years ago. This job pays enough to split rent with my girlfriend Megan and keep my car running. That used to feel like enough. I've been here 3 years now, long enough to know which floorboards creak, which vending machine actually works, and that Dr. Mandy Schaefer likes her coffee with way too much sugar. She's the lead astronomer, one of the only people who stays late most nights. We're not friends exactly, but we nod at each other when I make my rounds. Sometimes she explains what she's working on, though I only understand about half of it. The night it happened started like every other night. I clocked in at 11, made my first round at midnight, and settled into the security office with a thermos of coffee and my phone. The observatory at night sounds like a sleeping giant. All these machines humming and clicking, doing whatever it is they do while pointing at the sky. Around 2:30 in the morning, everything changed. The alarm didn't go off. There was no dramatic sound or flashing light. I just heard running footsteps in the hall, which never happens. Then Dr. Schaefer burst into my office, and I knew something was wrong because her face was completely white. "Call Dr. Park," she said. Her voice shook. "Right now. Tell him to get here immediately." I stood up, already reaching for the phone. "What's wrong? Is there a fire or—" "Just call him, please." Dr. Raymond Park was the observatory director. I had his emergency number in the system, but I'd never actually used it. It rang 4 times before a groggy voice answered. This better be important. "Dr. Park, this is John from night security. Dr. Schaefer says you need to come in right away. She seems really upset." "Put her on." I handed the phone to Dr. Schaefer. She grabbed it like a lifeline. "Raymond, we're receiving something," she said, then paused. "No, not interference. It's a signal, a real one." Another pause. Her hand started shaking. "Because it's talking to us." She hung up and looked at me with eyes that seemed too wide. "What did you mean it's talking?" I asked. "Come with me. You need to see this." I followed her down the hallway to the main observation room. Every screen was lit up, displaying graphs and numbers that meant nothing to me. But even I could see something was different. The patterns looked too organized, too deliberate. "I don't understand what I'm looking at," I said. Dr. Schaefer pointed at one of the monitors. "That's the signal. It came in about 20 minutes ago from somewhere beyond our solar system. At first, I thought it was just another burst of radio noise, but then the computer started processing it. She pulled up another screen. It's not random. It's structured. It's language." My stomach did something weird. Like alien language. "We're translating it now. Well, the computer is. It's finding patterns, matching them to linguistic structures. She typed something and pulled up a text window. It keeps repeating the same thing over and over. I leaned closer to read the words on the screen. Do you remember what you were? That was it. Just that one question, cycling endlessly. I don't get it, I said. What kind of first contact message is that? Dr. Schaefer wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know. But John, look at the timestamp. This signal is coming from at least 4 light years away, but it's arriving in real time. That shouldn't be possible. And that question, she trailed off. What about it? It's not asking if we remember them. It's asking if we remember what we were, like we were something else before. She looked at me. Doesn't that terrify you? It should have. But standing there at 2:30 in the morning, staring at words from something not human, I mostly just felt confused. The terror would come later. Dr. Park arrived 40 minutes later, along with 3 other staff members I'd seen around but didn't really know. Within an hour, the observation room was packed. Everyone talked in urgent whispers, pointing at screens and arguing about procedures. I stayed in the corner, trying to stay out of the way. This was way above my pay grade. We can't just ignore this, one of the scientists said, a younger guy with glasses. This is the most important moment in human history. We don't know what we're dealing with. Dr. Schaefer shot back. That question isn't a greeting. It's something else. Something wrong. You're being paranoid, the guy said. They're reaching out. We have to respond. Dr. Park held up his hands. Everyone, calm down. We're not doing anything until we've thought this through. But even as he said it, I could see the excitement in everyone's eyes. They wanted to answer. They wanted to be part of history. I kept staring at those words on the screen. Do you remember what you were? The more I looked at them, the more uneasy I felt, like the question was burrowing into my head. By morning, everything had spiraled out of control. Someone had leaked the story. News vans showed up at the gates. Government people in dark suits arrived and basically took over the whole facility. They set up equipment in the observation room and kicked most of the regular staff out. I should have gone home when my shift ended, but I couldn't make myself leave. Megan texted asking where I was. I told her something came up at work. She sent back a concerned emoji, but didn't push it. Around 10 in the morning, Dr. Park gathered everyone in the conference room. His face looked older than it had 8 hours ago. They're sending a response, he said quietly. The decision came from above my head. There's nothing I can do about it. What are we sending? Dr. Schaefer asked. Something simple. We are humanity. Who are you? He rubbed his eyes. They're transmitting in 20 minutes. We all filed back to the observation room to watch. The government people had set up their own equipment, serious-looking machines I'd never seen before. A woman in a suit counted down from 10, then pressed a button. The message went out into space. I felt sick watching it happen. I couldn't explain why. Something about this felt deeply wrong, like we were answering a question we didn't understand on a test that would determine if we lived or died. How long until we know if they respond? Someone asked. Could be years, the woman in the suit said. The signal came from light years away. Even if they answer immediately, it would take. Every screen in the room lit up at once. The response had come back in under 5 minutes. That shouldn't have been possible. The scientists started shouting, pulling up calculations, trying to figure out how anything could transmit faster than light. But I wasn't looking at their equations. I was looking at the new message displaying across every monitor. You answered wrong. You will remember soon. Then the signal cut out completely. Gone like it had never been there. The room went silent. What does that mean? I heard myself ask. We answered wrong? Nobody had an answer. But Dr. Schaefer was crying silently in the corner, and somehow that scared me more than anything else. They sent me home around noon, told me to take a few days off while they figured things out. I drove back to the apartment I shared with Megan in a daze, the words, "You will remember soon," playing on repeat in my head. Megan was home when I got there, curled up on the couch with her laptop. She worked from home doing something with graphic design. When she saw my face, she closed the computer. "John, what happened? You look awful." I sat down next to her and tried to explain. The signal, the question, our response, the answer that made no sense. It all sounded insane saying it out loud, but she'd already seen the news. Everyone had. The whole world knew about the message now. "They're calling it first contact," she said softly. "But that answer, you will remember soon." Remember what? I don't know. Dr. Schaefer thought the original question was wrong somehow, like it wasn't really a greeting. Megan was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I keep thinking about it. Do you remember what you were? What if it's literal? What if we were something before we were human?" That's crazy. Is it? We got a message from aliens. Everything's crazy now. I couldn't argue with that. I tried to sleep that afternoon but couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those words. Do you remember what you were? And underneath them, like an echo, you will remember soon. Around 5 in the evening, I gave up and went to the living room. Megan was still on the couch, but she wasn't working. She was just staring at the wall. "You okay?" I asked. She turned to look at me, and something in her expression made me stop walking. "I had the weirdest dream while you were trying to sleep," she said. "Except it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a memory." "A memory of what?" "I don't know how to describe it. I was somewhere else, not just a different place, but a different kind of place. And I wasn't me, I was something bigger, something that existed differently." She laughed, but it sounded scared. "I know that sounds insane. After today, nothing sounds insane anymore." She pulled her knees up to her chest. "John, what if that's what the message meant? What if we're about to remember something we're not supposed to remember?" I sat down next to her and took her hand. It felt cold. "We'll figure it out," I said, even though I had no idea if that was true. That night, I dreamed too. Except like Megan said, it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like watching someone else's life through their eyes. I was somewhere that wasn't a place, existing in a way that made no sense. Time moved differently there, or maybe it didn't move at all. I was vast and old, and so incredibly tired of being vast and old. I woke up gasping, my heart pounding. The memory, because that's what it felt like, was already fading. but the feeling stayed. The bone-deep exhaustion of existing forever. Megan was awake too. I could see her shape in the darkness, sitting up in bed. "You felt it too," she whispered. "Yeah. It's getting stronger. Whatever this is, it's getting stronger." Over the next 3 days, things got worse. Not just for us, for everyone. The news filled with stories about mass psychological events, people around the world experiencing vivid dreams that didn't feel like dreams, memories that couldn't be their own. Scientists tried to explain it as mass hysteria, some kind of global panic response to the alien message. But I knew better. We all knew better. Megan started having the memories while she was awake. She'd be making coffee or reading on the couch, and then her eyes would go distant and she'd be somewhere else. When she came back, she'd tell me what she'd seen. Endless existence in spaces that weren't spaces, being something that thought in ways human brains couldn't think. "We chose this," she said on the 3rd day. We were eating dinner, except neither of us was really eating, just pushing food around our plates. In the memories, I can feel it. We chose to become small, to become limited, to become human. Why would we do that? Because we were so tired. We'd existed forever, and we couldn't die, and we couldn't change, and we couldn't feel the things that made existence worth existing for. So we decided to split ourselves apart, to become billions of small temporary pieces, to be human. The way she said it, so calm and certain, terrified me. "Megan, these are just dreams. They're not real." She looked at me with eyes that seemed older than they should be. "Are you sure about that? Because I'm starting to remember things you don't know about me, things I never told you, and they're all true." I didn't know what to say to that. The next morning, I woke up and Megan was gone. Not gone from the apartment, gone in a different way. She was sitting on the couch, but she was less somehow, less solid, less real, like she was fading into something else. When I called her name, she turned to look at me, and her eyes held something infinite. "I remember," she said. Her voice sounded like it was coming from very far away. "John, I remember everything. What we were, why we did this. It's all coming back." No. I moved toward her, but I was afraid to touch her, afraid my hand would go right through. "Megan, stay here. Stay with me." "I don't think I can. Once you remember, you can't keep being what you pretended to be." She smiled sadly. We knew this would be temporary. That was the whole point, to experience something that ended, something that mattered because it didn't last forever. "I don't understand." "You will, soon." She was getting harder to see. "I love you, John. I love having loved you. That's something we couldn't do before, something worth all of this." Then she was gone. Just gone. The space where she'd been sitting was empty, like she'd never existed at all. I stood there for a long time, staring at nothing. Then I called Dr. Schaefer. She answered on the first ring. "John, are you? It's happening to Megan." She remembered, and now she's gone. Just disappeared. "I know," her voice cracked. "It's happening everywhere. People are vanishing, not dying, unbecoming. That's what the message meant. We were supposed to stay forgotten. The experiment was supposed to continue. But now we're remembering who we really are, and humans can't exist once they remember they're not really human." How do we stop it? We can't. We answered the question wrong. We said we were humanity, but we're not. We never were. We were something else that chose to forget itself. And now that we're remembering, the forgetting is ending. I hung up and sat on the couch where Megan had been. The apartment felt too quiet, too empty. The memories kept coming, stronger each day. I started remembering things that had never happened to John, but had happened to whatever I was before I was John. Eons of existence, infinite awareness, the crushing weight of immortality. I remembered the decision we'd made, all of us together. We'd been one thing once, or many things that were really one thing, old beyond measure, powerful beyond understanding, and so incredibly bored. We couldn't grow, we couldn't change, we couldn't end. So we'd done something radical. We'd scattered ourselves across a planet and chosen to forget what we were. We'd become humanity, temporary, limited, mortal, capable of feeling things we'd never felt before. Fear, love, hope. Things that only meant something when you knew you'd lose them. It was supposed to be permanent. We weren't supposed to remember. But someone had checked in on us, some other entity like what we'd been, and they'd asked the question to see if the experiment was over, if we still thought we were human. And we'd answered wrong. The news showed empty cities now, people vanishing by the millions, returning to what they'd been before. The great forgetting was ending. The experiment was over. I lasted longer than most. Maybe because I was scared. Maybe because I liked being John more than I'd liked being what I was before. For 3 more days, I walked around the empty apartment and tried to hold on to my human memories, my life, my name, the feeling of Megan's hand in mine, the taste of bad coffee at the observatory, the smell of rain on Washington roads. But the other memories were stronger. They were more real because they were older, so much older. And eventually, you can't hold back an ocean with your hands. On the 7th day after Megan vanished, I sat down and tried to write this all out. I don't know why. Maybe as a goodbye to being human. Maybe as a warning, though there's no one left to warn. Maybe just because John would have wanted to leave something behind. I can feel it happening now. The remembering is complete. I know what I am, what we all were, what we'll be again. We were so old, so vast, so tired of being infinite. Being human was beautiful because it ended, because it hurt, because it mattered in ways eternity never could. But now, that beauty is over. I'm forgetting how to be John. I'm remembering how to be what came before. My hands don't feel like mine anymore. This body feels like clothes I'm about to take off. The entity that sent the message wasn't being cruel. They were being kind. They were reminding us that we could end the experiment if we were done. They thought we'd be ready, thought we'd want to go back to what we were. But I don't. I want to stay John. I want to keep being small and temporary and scared. I want Megan back. I want my boring job and my cheap apartment and my human life. But we answered wrong. We said we were humanity. We forgot that we were only pretending. And now the pretending is over. I'm almost gone now. In a few minutes, John won't exist anymore. He'll just be a memory inside something much larger and much lonelier. My last human thought is this. We should have answered differently. When they asked if we remembered what we were, We should have said yes. We should have told them we remembered being eternal and infinite and powerful. And we should have told them that we chose to forget it, that being human wasn't a punishment or an accident. It was a gift we gave ourselves. Maybe then they would have let us keep pretending. Maybe then John could have stayed John, and Megan could have stayed Megan, and we could have kept living our small, beautiful, temporary lives. But we answered wrong. And now, I remember.